I mean, I think I've only technically not got it one time up near the red zone, and I still think I was in the end zone against the Chargers a couple years back. So I'm usually pretty good at the quarterback sneak. So even though he says that he doesn't expect it to happen, I think there's a time and place for it. So I'll keep that on his radar.
Coverage on Sports Radio 810 is brought to you by Westlake Ace Hardware. Visit your local Westlake Ace Hardware today. Online at westlakeHardware.com. Westlake Ace Hardware. Small projects, big know-how. Ask away.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
How's the team doing? Getting ready for Indy, off a little bit of a break. People are talking about you've got some tough opponents after them, but what is your focus on the Colts?
I mean, the Colts are a great football team. I think all of us understand that. If you look at their roster, they have playmakers everywhere, guys that made plays in this league for a long time. And we understand how tough of an opponent it's going to be. So we're not looking ahead at anything. We're looking straight at the Colts and know it's going to be a tough matchup for us to go to Indy in their home opener and try to find a way to get a win.
Patrick, you've had 2 weeks and 2 games to look at some things. What do you feel that the offense needs to improve upon most as you go forward?
Yeah, I think we just keep getting better. I mean, we've done some great things. We've also done stuff that we can get better at. We got to just continue to find ways to have explosive plays. I know it's tough sometimes the defenses that we get, but we want to make sure that we still take advantage of that and keep that in our offense. And then whenever we need to be patient and drive the length of the field, we got to continue to do that. So you'll keep getting better with new receivers and younger guys that can kind of evolve in the offense, and we can keep opening the offense up even more.
Patrick, I know you talked about before the season started how you were apologizing to fantasy owners as it relates to you divvying the ball around. But how do you keep Juju and MVS involved? If you're not going to them as often, obviously Juju used to be the number 1 receiver for the last year or so, and then MVS playing alongside Adams. How do you keep them involved so they don't lose focus in the game?
I think that, it goes with me, obviously, getting them the ball in certain situations where we can get easy completions to them and stuff like that. But at the same time, I think Coach Reed does a great job of that. If they see the plays that are called, they know that their play is designed for them. And if defenses take those away, they understand that you get to the next progression of the read. And they're great guys like that. And so they're going to have their big games. Obviously, this last week, that was just a really good defense. The other guys stepped up and made plays. But I think you saw in week 1, and I think you'll see the rest of the season, there'll be days when those guys will have big days, and I think they'll be ready for it.
Putting your leadership hat on, Willie, I know you're close with him, obviously suspended, whatever you're willing to share. How do you encourage someone just to kind of stay focused and stay in the mix, even though they maybe will be out of the facility for a couple weeks?
Yeah, I think he'll handle it the right way. Obviously, the whole situation was a bad situation that we don't want it to happen. But at the same time, we love Willie as a guy, and we want him to come back in and still be a great part of this team. And so we'll continue to move forward against some tough opponents while he's gone. And I expect those younger guys to step up and make plays happen when they're getting their opportunity.
Patrick, Dandy was asked about short yardage and you with the quarterback sneak, and he said you were kind of lobbying for a little bit more. He was asked, well, how'd it go? What'd he say? And he said, well, you saw what we did. Mm-hmm. So making it pretty clear he shut you down. Would you like to do that? Is that something how hard do you lobby? How'd that conversation go?
Yeah, I think the hardest I've ever lobbied for it is kind of in the playoffs. We're here now. I want to go and get that first down or touchdown. But we trust in those running backs. We trust in our offensive line, especially when you got a guy like Burt, too. He's pretty good at getting those first downs. I think I've only technically not got it one time up near the red zone, and I still think I was in the end zone against the Chargers a couple years back. So I'm usually pretty good at the quarterback sneak. So even though he says that he doesn't expect it to happen, I think there's a time and place for it. So I'll keep that on his radar.
Even with that said, you feel like you've run your last quarterback sneak in your career?
No, my plan is to save it until the Super Bowl. So one of these Super Bowls, I'm gonna sneak in there and do it. It's the least expected thing, obviously. So I'm going to do it, and I might go over the top this time to try to save that knee.
Patrick, since you all played on Thursday, you got a chance to see Sunday's games, but knowing the last 2 minutes of the last game against the Chargers, you all gave up, team gave up a late touchdown. But what you saw Sunday, you saw a lot of teams not playing the full 60 minutes of football. What's your message, and what's your message to your teammates after seeing the type of games that turned out on Sunday, where, let's say, the Cleveland Browns gave up 13 points, 14 points in the last 2 minutes of the game?
Yeah, I think we emphasize it a lot. We go through end of game situations every single week. Joe Blameyer, or Coach Blameyer, does a great job of showing all those situations when teams come back like that and how the game's never over. Coach Frazier talks about it, how close these NFL games have become and how the end of game is where the games are won and lost. And so we try to do a great job of our 4-minute mode, running the timeout if we can. Our defense making stops. And then when we get in those special teams onside kicks, you saw guys like Noah rallying to the ball and recovering stuff. So we really go over those. We emphasize those. And we understand the NFL these days, that it's closer than ever every single week. And we have to play full 60 minutes if we want to win.
Patrick, I know reps, coaches will talk about reps, the most precious thing you have during the week. There's only so many of them to get it all done. And obviously Andy's track record speaks for itself. He knows how to manage those reps in practice. But when you have something like, you guys were very good at short yards last year, you kind of struggled a little bit this year. Does he kind of, okay, we're going to spend more time on this? Or does he have a hard and fast, this many reps on this many on that? Or does it kind of evolve over the year and as you see where maybe there's some problems?
I think it's more in the film room and in the install meetings. We just really emphasize and kind of detail those things even more than we usually do. But we've, like you said, Coach Reed's had a great track record of getting those first downs in those short yardage situations. And I mean, we didn't have a great week in a short week, and I think we just a little misses here and there. It's always just got like barely off one place or another. I think as we get back in the normal flow of the season, that hopefully we can go back to being great at those short yardage situations.
Patrick, the Chargers were the first team that you played since you guys got some new weapons and stuff that you actually played last year. Did you see a big difference in just the way they tried to take things away from you guys?
Not necessarily. I mean, they played their defense. They have a lot of great players. They have a great scheme. And so they played their defense. I mean, I think maybe a couple more pressures than we had seen in the past year. But I think we showed when they pressured, we were able to hit some of the deep routes. I think one to McCole and then one to Jay Watt. So, I mean, it's a thing where I'm sure defenses will test us to see if we can still hit those big shots when pressures come. I think if we show that, then we're going to have to go back to hitting those check downs and those shorter ones. So being able to do both is what makes our offense so great.
What's some of the biggest challenges that you think you're going to face this weekend against the Colts? Obviously, they still have Stephon Gilmore, former defense player. What type of challenges does that bring?
Yeah, I mean, it's another defense they're great at all levels. I mean, you said it, Stephon Gilmore, the Darius Leonard, Shaquille Leonard will, I'm thinking, probably be back. So he's a great linebacker, one of the best, not the best linebacker in the league. Their defensive line, all four guys, I mean, Yannick Ngakoue, Kwity Paye, Grover, I mean, Buckner, of course, I've played against before. I mean, there's great players. So when you have that many great playmakers on a defense, you understand how hard it's going to be to get points. And so we have to execute at a high level if we want to go out there and win a football game.
Patrick, on Justin Watson's touchdown, he said after the game that you guys have worked on that route in Texas. How gratifying is that all these months later it pays off in a big game?
Yeah, it shows that all that hard work is going to pay off. I mean, we did a lot in Texas, and all those guys didn't have to be there. They were down there getting the work in, and you see it when you get to the games. I mean, they're making adjustments on the fly that you wouldn't expect new receivers and new offense like this. And so I think all that hard work is going to keep paying off, and we'll keep on and keep getting better and better as the season goes on.
We're about to get Juju Smith-Schuster in a second. I know you're continuing to try to work him in even more in the offense, but what has he meant to the team since you've gotten to know him through the offseason now through the 2 games?
Yeah, I mean, the attitude that he brings every day is huge. I mean, he's going to be a great player. He's going to have a lot of yards and a lot of touchdowns and everything like that. But the way he's able to be a leader in that receiving room as someone who's new to a team, I think it's going to keep making this offense and this team even better because you have a guy that comes to work every single day, and he puts in that work, and he'll get more and more opportunities as the season goes on.
Patrick, I know, I don't have the number, I saw, your numbers in the indoors are very good, right? Is there something about, besides the obvious no win, sideline something that you feel comfortable, or do you think it's just kind of a coincidence? Maybe it's opponent-driven?
Yeah, I think most quarterbacks are usually are better in indoors, but I think it's just you just go out there and play the game. I never really notice it. I try to be better outdoors because that's where we play at, and I want the playoffs to be in Arrowhead, and I feel like that's an advantage for us. So I haven't played a ton of games indoors, but we've obviously had success when we had. So it'll be another great challenge for us to go to Indy, which is the atmosphere will be rocking, and it'll be a great defense that we're going up against.
Patrick, high school football, you were at Blue Valley Southwestern West, I believe, and I know you loved high school football growing up as a kid and playing throughout your love, but what is it about going to high school games now and watching them now? Do you still see them analytically? Do you still see them like, oh, I'm just watching like one of my coaches' kids play. Like, how do you enjoy high school football nowadays?
Yeah, no, I still watch the game. I think I see it a little bit more. You see the concept of what the offense is trying to do and the defense and everything like that. But it's cool just to be a fan, to go out there. The place was rocking, man. The student section, I was a little surprised because I mean it compared to where I'm at in Texas, and I mean I thought that there was no empty seats. It was a great football game, great players and everything like that. But it was cool to go out there and watch. Brittany's been to 2 of them with me now, so I don't know how many more I got. But it was cool to see. The only thing I say is those hashes are wide, man. I'm like, man, I didn't remember those hashes being that wide. So it's definitely cool to go out there and watch some kids that you've kind of seen grow up throughout the years.